I'm not sure that you can see what I can see in there, but... Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Okay, so here we are. This is the other location for Big Seattle Downtown Antique Mall. We're in the Soto district, so south of downtown actually. It's been Pacific Gallery's Antique Mall, but my friend and estate sale business partner Tom Gores has taken it over, and it's going to be Landers Street Marketplace. I think they're just waiting for the sign. The first owners, I think, had it for about 12 or 15 years, and then they sold the building, and the new building owners wanted to maintain an antique mall, so he came in and took it over. And you will see on their sign above the front there that it says visit our other store 5 minutes away, Epic Antique, which is the store I'm in. And I am here with my good friend Bill Agel. This is Blenko Bill. I should have had him take his mask off when we were outside. There we go. He's a real person. I call Bill Blenko Bill because I've known him that long. He had the Blenko Museum in Seattle. He has taught me probably more about modernism than anybody else I know, and he taught me to love the color orange. So I'm excited that we're getting to shop here together. And this place is a big place, so you're going to see a lot of stuff here. So when was the last time you were here?
A month and a half ago.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, I'm going to let you lead me around because I haven't been here since it changed hands, actually.
Well, I just always go this same way. So.
Okay, cool. $10 each. This is pretty good. This is block optic from the 1930s, and yes, this will glow under a black light. That's an old school depression glass price for that, which is actually pretty inexpensive, and I like the way it looks with the lettuce green Russell Wright dinnerware. Ooh, that is nice. I like the paperweight stopper. $2.10, that seems like a pretty decent price for that one. 18th century Thai Buddha. We see these Buddha remnants here on the West Coast, particularly in Seattle, and this one is priced at $1,100. A lot of them are way back into dynastic era. This Japanese kanon is Meiji period, priced at $575. And then this one is Muromachi period, which is 15th to 16th century here. Very nice carved seated wood figure. There is a Thai Buddha. This dealer has fantastic telephones, and he's really great about telling you what they are and the model number, the years they were done. This is who I learned a lot about telephones from, was looking at these displays, and he restores what needs to be restored and presents them as they are if they're in really great condition. The Space Saver was an early wall phone. That's a pretty neat thing. Here's the classic 302. That's the one you see in I Love Lucy and a lot of other shows from that era. Stromberg Carlson here, and this is an automatic electric with nickel trimming. He did new powder coat on this Stromberg Carlson. This is just a really fun display. I like the old payphone for $295, and then the candlestick phone. This one doesn't have a ringer because the ringers were separate back in the 19-teens and 20s. And then this one is called a Kellogg ashtray phone. It's not the same as Kellogg cereal, but they made a lot of phones. And there's a hotel phone, an old Western Electric. So cool stuff. And I really like this 1983 Dayglow see-through phone. That was a big thing if you're looking for things from the 80s, clear phones. A lot of this mall is more about interiors and how you set up a display. And so you'll see this one has color schemes in style. This one says MCM Atomic. This is a light allure. I've had this in a couple different colors. It's priced at $250. Black is a good color for it. A lot of this is going to be presented more for an interior designer. This is near the design center, so there are a lot of designers who shop here. These are really neat. These Regler of California bonsai tree lamps with the original shades, 1950s. Always like those novelty lamps. The soldier statue is Spelter and it's $265. I just put the Cavalier in over at Epic. And they have one of the Hager ceramic gazelles in a very nice sort of ivory buff color. This is a neat old petroleum jug. This is enamelware, and I'm thinking this one might be European because it is old. The lettering is 1920s era. but it's rather lightweight compared to the American ones of that time. This space might be a little more French market. This is Brocante Beach House, and they are on Instagram, so you can follow them there. This definitely has a feel to it, and I like the fact that in this case, see how the things are actually old in here. This is an older mirror, and yes, they've painted it, but it is older. Everything in here is actually antique or vintage to begin with, and I really prefer this to seeing new furniture, offshore imports, or things that are painted white and scraped in 3 places. If you're gonna do farmhouse, if you're gonna do this look, it feels much more real and genuine if you actually spend the time to curate and look for old pieces. Some of the spaces are rather gallery-ish. I see some fun art in here. I like this particular piece. Ruth Ross, and it's a mixed media collage. This is Jerry Neal, an Olympia artist. It's interesting because it's called The Guitarist, but it actually reminds me somewhat of Gorman in terms of the shape and the pose of the figure. This drum is fun. Look at this neat thing. It's a periscope. This would have been a kid's toy from a dandy periscope. Copyright. This was made in Boston probably around 1930. And you know what? It still works. I'm not sure that you can see what I can see in there, but the look inside the periscope. Now this telephone would have been part of a switchboard because it has a flashing button to let you know something's happening there. That's a 1960s development. That's only $38, pretty good price. And here are cameras, and some names we don't usually see, even though I've had a ton of cameras. I have not had a Virgin before. This one here is a Benita, and this is a German one by Bellora. I haven't had this particular style of Kodak on the top either, so it's nice to see some different things. A Kodak Signet 40. Camera collecting is fun because there's so many varieties. You can collect by maker, you can collect by an era, you can collect depending on lenses or the type of film you want to shoot, you can collect Art Deco. And a lot of people are shooting real film again because it's a fun and interesting way to experiment with the art form. This one's a U.S. Navy gun camera, $98. And look at the red one there. Red comes out in the Depression because they're trying to get people to keep buying, so why not colors? Here's a bunch of Mary Hadley. Interesting to see this in Seattle, but I've seen it in the Northwest before. I'm used to finding it in Kentucky. It was made there until last week, and the factory is closed down, so this grape set here, the cereal bowls are $45 for 6. That's $7 a piece. I have to believe that that's a good price. The grape jug here, I'm tempted to buy some of this and take it back where it came from because at $36, I think that's a $65 or $75 piece. There's a nice casserole dish here for $32. I think that's probably a $65 piece. Mary Hadley, definitely something to look for, especially now that it's not being made. Cute little children's tea set for only $18 with the little ducklings. There are a lot of showcases here, and there's some very beautiful things in the showcases. I like this Parlor Clock. It's a Japy Frere. It's an Art Nouveau piece. It has been professionally serviced, it says, which is helpful because servicing an old clock can be as much money as it's worth if it's a complicated movement that needs a lot of stuff. Priced at $9.75. The green vase here is Peters and Reed from about 1910. This cameo is interesting with the filigree and the 3 graces because it's 12 karat gold. You see a lot of 12 karat in the Victorian era. It's a purity between 14 karat and 10 karat. It is not something you see in a lot of more modern jewelry typically. And then there's these 3 little bathers. They are German bisque from about 1910 in the center there. Very sweet. This centerpiece bowl with the silver rim is for the 1937 coronation of Queen Elizabeth's father. Because a lot of designers shop here, you're going to see things like this really cool reverse painted sign for Imperial Old Scotch Ale. That's priced at $5.75. That does not seem like a bad price these days for this type of item. Tux pan too. This is very typical late 1970s art. This is an edition print. You see the bordering that's impressed in the paper, number 60 of 275, and that artist whose signature I wouldn't have been able to have read is Max Hazlitt. This is priced at $9.25, and it looks like all of these pieces are Hazlitt pieces in the several hundred to $1,000 range. This is a nice Victorian table with the mother of pearl inlay here. It's a tilt top, meaning it will flip up and then there's a way to stabilize the top for use. So it was something that was done in lacquer to be fairly portable at the time. It's priced at $4.95. A lot of people like to incorporate a Victorian accent or two into a more modern sort of setting to balance out the space and give it a little flavor. They definitely utilize the space well here. They've got little ledges where you can put even more. Golden Girls rattan, it's coming back, and this set is priced at $195. That's part of the reason it's coming back, is rattan is lightweight, it's inexpensive, it's easy to move, it's very functional. That seems like a very viable price. I like the style of this little modernist table here with the slate top and the walnut base. That is priced at $325. This little settee is $375. It almost has an Adrian Pearsall look, both in that multicolored tweedy type upholstery and the shapes to the arms, but I don't know that to be a Pearsall design. Here's a very sweet little dental cabinet for $295. A portable one with the green drawers, 1930s. And if you run out of room, you just hang the Bertoia chairs. This is Marimekko, the fabric that you see, and this color is discontinued. It's priced at $175. And if you like string art and macrame, well, this might be the thing for you. This is absolutely late 70s, priced at $400. It's just huge. Be fun over a bed. I could see it almost being part of a bigger piece somehow. Also very much of that era is this wire art. This one is $65. There are serious designer modern pieces here too. This one is teak and birch. It's made by Falster. This is Danish, priced at $2,200. Under a Lee Reynolds painting. Lee Reynolds is a factory that made paintings with the Lee Reynolds signature. It is not actually an artist. These were mass produced, but they're good. They're mostly modernist, and they have a good look, and they're generally very large, and they're good prices for the size. Here's some more Marimekko up here. I recently sold an Alessi cupola piece on eBay. Alessi made a lot of interesting pieces, and they've had some pretty good designers. The piece that I sold was Aldo Rossi from the 1980s. These are a lot of new old stock. Eric Höglund decanter. Höglund was from Sweden. Blenko did do a face decanter, but this is a different one, so check out that face and you'll know the difference. 3L Palomar, these are neat. The ram and the donkey and another ram. Your prices seem really good on those, and they've got signatures and everything.
Yeah.
Those are very cute. Are you seeing a lot of interest in Mexican pottery? It seems like it's sort of...
Yes, so.
It seems seasonal.
Oh, is it more seasonal?
Well, I think maybe more people in California and people who come to visit buy. This is very pretty.
Yeah, I think that's a repro, though.
Is it?
A repro.
Because of the way that the bottom is formed. Yeah, I think you're right. It's a nice color, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like Blenko, but it's not.
Yeah.
Now, because of the changeover, they do have a few empty spaces here. Not very many, though. This is Laura Michalik, and she's got the Old Way Vintage on Etsy. I like these orange Eames aluminum chairs here. But she mainly seems to do a lot of fashion, and I see a fair amount of Western sprinkled in here. Although, this certainly isn't Western. If they were bullets, maybe it would be. Ansel Adams, that's kind of a neat print. And lots of boots. These are old Red Wing boots, which, now that I know better, there were certain financiers who were involved with both the pottery company and the boot company, but they were not connected in any other way in business, which for years I told people they were because that's what I believed. So now I get to dispel that myth. These shag carpeting pieces are really fun. Great colors and geometrics. Let's see what they say about them. 1960s Shag Art. And this one is 1970s, I would say, judging by the colors. This is a fun space. I guess I would say 50s kitchen and laundry approach to the way that they're decorating, and I just think it's so neat. I love the old GE console radio. The pink walls are really fun. They've got these great drape panels here in the back. I just think these are awesome with the tropical birds. Hey everybody, if you are enjoying this video, by the way, please hit like, thumbs up, give it a comment. You can check out the links in the description to our membership information and other things that we do through this channel. So check it out, have fun. I like this nice chrome piece too. I like older chrome, and this side table is nice with the second here. It says that it is nickel plated brass, so with smoke glass. So this looks like something out of the 1970s, but it has that deco revival feel. And this is a Turner print, but this is egrets rather than flamingos, priced at $125. I have to say a lot of the prices here seem reasonable for what they are. And studio pottery can really be great together in a display. I like the way they've done this, where you break up this very clean modernist form with a lot of vessels and vases and things that have a little bit of a different texture to them. This one's Thomas Radick. Let's see if there's a signature. There's a signature there. Mark Matsui. I like the studied nature of the swirls in the glaze in the bottom and the variegation in the glaze. This one is Matthew Patton. This is a signature I see fairly often. People ask me about sign pieces in stoneware a lot, and you know, a lot of signatures are very obscure and we don't know who the people are, but when we do, it can make a big difference. This one is Robert Graydon. Signed Graydon, 2003. This place is called Mod Robot, and there's a couple of clown paintings for you out of the 70s. I do like these acrylic stools here. These are going to be Cartel. Same company that made the yellow ice bucket in my space over at Epic that I showed you earlier. Nesting tables made of teak. These with the plank style construction are ABJ, made in Denmark. I see these in houses in the Seattle area still from back in the day. I like the screen with the Florentine gold here. And another very handsome French marble clock with the Spelter woman on it and the birds. And look at these two very dramatic horsemen. They are ready to go to battle over her. $3,000 for the pair. These are out of the 1960s, but aren't they phenomenal? These very pretty candelabra. You can see the Italian label there. And there's a pair of them. They're priced at $395, and look at these figures holding up the candles. Those are really quite special. This Tramp Art Cross is amazing. I really like Tramp Art. These were things made of scraps by people who were mainly selling them door to door to make money, especially during hard times. But this one is really phenomenal. I mean, what a great design, and look at all the work it took to make that. $395. Now, the wings are not actually part of this piece. They just positioned them there because they look cool. But this is an older Santos figure of the woman, priced at $495. Dietmar Urbach is the designer of this Czech bird. We see these pictures from time to time. That's in really great condition. This is a really great piece of Dom Nancy. This is Schneider. This is another very good French glass company that we don't run into so often, and so is the piece behind, the pink one with the acid cut. The signature is Chardere, and it's marked Ovington, France, priced at $16.50. The Legras cameo glass with the enameling is something late in cameo glass for them. 1924 is the date on this, and they have it priced at $5.95. And there's another piece of Schneider. Schneider made really beautiful stuff, and there are definitely collectors who understand and appreciate it, and that's why it's priced the way it is. I love wallfish, but Freeland McFarland of California made really fun, far-out looking figures, and this is one of them. $75 is actually a fair price for that one because it's hard to get. They have a nice case of, or two actually, of signed costume jewelry. There's a Regency set, the blue and gold in the middle there with the very big pin, earrings, and the bracelet as well, a nice large size. The pink set with the pressed stones is Juliana, and you see a couple of really neat micro mosaic instrument pieces to the left, especially that big cello. Chinese jewelry, the natural stone bracelet there is an interesting piece, and we have the one with the figures carved in bone behind it. A couple of more unusual enameled pieces marked Matisse. This Juliana set with the collar and the bracelet is really cool from the 1950s. Here's a bunch of mid-century production pottery. These are 1970s pieces. Pacific Stoneware at the top there, that was Bennett Welsh's firm. Seems like a very good deal at $19 for the one with the essentially ink stamp is how they did the glaze. Same with Pottery Craft, the one on the left there, also only $19. The one on the right is Pottery Craft. Of course, those two are shown in the book that I wrote on Pottery Craft and Treasure Craft Pottery. All of these prices seem very good, honestly, for what these pieces are. A Danish candle holder, priced at $120, and then this one is BMF Nagel from Germany, $28 for the pair. I have to say, a lot of these are really viable prices, I think. Look at this. Teal Glass Rose Bowl by Empoli, $19. This is Martelet, The Dance of the Nudes by Consolidated from the 1930s, $24. You know, people are often afraid to go to a high-end antique mall and look for things for resale, but I see several things in this case right here that would very much be viable, and if you sold them in a different venue and had the right customer, you could make money on these pieces. So don't be afraid to come to places like this to look for reseller bargains, because there are often things anywhere that you go, and you can see some really beautiful stuff that might be priced full retail, but you learn about that in the trip. So it's a great way to spend an afternoon. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs makes me think of our friends, a couple of different channels that are based in Colorado Springs on YouTube in the reseller community. So I was just talking to this dealer, and he's got great stuff, and you can even call him if you want to know more about it, if the mall's really busy and you don't want to wait. This is a really cool piece. This is an Escher Print. I remember our geometry books in 8th grade had lots of Escher prints. This is something he did in 1938, and of course what's so amazing is that he understood the use of geometry in a way to make things appear that they went off into infinity or went in circles. And I just think Escher is really neat, and a lot of people collect Escher, not just geometry and math folks, but a lot of those folks like him too. This looks like, in all likelihood, a Canadian piece, because the foot looks a lot like Chalet of Canada. Even though it doesn't have the signature, it does have the 4 lobes on the bottom. And this one is priced... Oh, but it's actually Czech. It's Bohemian. That's the other place that did this sort of style. So that's something to know, is that you can get those confused pretty easily. This is a great Curtis Jure, one of my favorite ones that I've seen, with all these big spiky snow puffs on it. The Corinthian Column is a really neat piece. This could be something you'd put a plant on, put in a foyer, even use outdoors, potentially undercover. This brutalist sculpture is interesting, I think, with the embrace. Here's a piece of Murano I don't see very often. This is actually made for function. This is a cocktail pitcher in the 2 colors, a Sommerso type, priced at $285. This guy is fun, this papier-mâché hand puppet. He says it might be a Dan Reeder, an early piece. If you can afford biscuits from Monaco, you are really doing well. I like the old tacked leather chair for kids. I think it's actually vinyl or leatherette. This is a nice cloisonné piece with the dragon handles. A little more detail, looks like early 20th century. And here is a Joe Reno. Joe Reno is an artist who I met personally. He's a Seattle artist who's been very well known for a long time. Portrait of my friend Jay Steensma, and they were friends, and Jay Steensma was a fascinating Seattle artist who was a genius and went through periods of mental disturbance So you might have him at home posing for a portrait. You might have him doing a very high-end commission, and then the next week he might be painting on paper bags and selling drawings on napkins at the local deli. He was that kind of a guy. So a lot of people experienced J. Steensma during his lifetime. I have a Steensma 1980s marble. It's about time for a comeback. I always am partial to these English little commodes with the marble top and the wonderful tile backsplashes. Very springy. This is from about 1910. I really like these modernist wall units, and this one is a particularly big one, although you could arrange it more tightly if you didn't have this much wall space. This is called the Cato shelving system. It's got 4 standards that you can hang from, and then you just position it however you want. So if you need room for your genie bottles, which yes were originally Jim Beam bottles, you make it one height. If you have a Blenko Rialto vase, that's a very hard pattern to find in Blenko, by the way, 1958 only, I believe. Well, then you adjust it for that. And then you end up with some slanted book display. You've got drawers. You have a locking piece that opens up with fittings in it. It's a really great way to furnish a house where you have a lot of flexible display and you don't actually use a lot of floor space. Your Roomba will be very happy. I used to have these as everyday dishes, but mine were the pink. They did blue and white as well. It's Harker's stone china from 1958. It's generally pretty well marked. Sometimes it just says USA, but I'll bet the plate has a big Harker mark on the back. And there it is. I had the pink set. And the reason I got mine for $25 at Salvation Army. And I took it home and I microwaved a piece of cheese on it for 5 minutes to see if it would break. And it didn't. And I looked up that it didn't have lead in the glaze, and I used it for years, even though I don't microwave anymore. A neat burl table. And what's nice about this, it's a 1970s one with the hairpin legs, and they did not lacquer it. People really don't care for the lacquer as much. This space has some really fun things in it. First of all, I love the staircase because it displays all the way up, and you can really use all of the display space all the way to the ceiling. They've got that great 48-star flag. And this really cool model of the Space Needle painted like it is today with the orange top. That is not for sale. I'm sad to see that that's not for sale, but I understand why. On the other hand, this old machine where you can see things like slides, well, this is only $48. This outfit is called No Pop, and they do have really cool stuff. From this multiple arm lamp that's adjustable to the horse lamp with the Venetian blind shade, even the old clocks and the old channel master to get your channels in. The tulip chairs are great. One of my favorite designs. I think that Mary Tyler Moore had the tulip table in the early years of her show. Eames chair here in the orange, and Blenko Glass. And just so that you know that, yes, high-end modernist malls, they see the Penguin Ice Bucket too. And there it is. Every time I press my ear, I can see through into my innards. This guy is having a bad day, but it's very cool. It's 1957, and they're actually showing the lymph system. And yes, people are definitely still buying old medical charts. Here's a great Oddfellows jacket, priced at $450. I love this dancer set in chalkware on the iron. Very classic 1950s set. And then they have a lot of interesting oddities here. They have little bats in frames and prints of beetles and dragonflies. All sorts of interesting, strange, and scientific looking things to see. Here's another really fun space that is definitely taking on this new mantle of stark interior colors with a few pops of color to really bring the eye through the display. And I think they do this very well. A lot of this store, again, is about presentation. It's about creating a feeling so that somebody could take a piece of furniture and everything on it and take it home and put it in their house and enjoy it just the way they see it here. Now here's a rather old bowl. This is Victorian Glass. This is by the U.S. Glass Company, and this one is the Delaware pattern. A lot of them were named after states, and Delaware is this interesting flower here. It came in green as well, but this is the flashed color of the magenta to look somewhat like cranberry glass. Some pieces of Mikasa are starting to be collectible, and Nature's Garden by Mikasa is definitely one of their better china patterns that seems to have an aftermarket. Spring is here, and so is a really, really great copper copper sculpture on a nice fulcrum here. This is another Jure, and it's priced at $2,400. It's one of the more popular Jure sculptures out there. What a great look. They've got sort of a Western feel here. I see Francoma pottery. You know, Francoma really does work in certain decorating schemes really well, and they've got some nice Ada clay pieces here. I wonder how these are priced, because it's entirely possible that they might be priced more for designer decorator than for a retail price, in which case I might be interested in buying. And then there's this piece. This came from the estate of our dear friend Gordy, who Tom Gore's the owner of this place, and I used to work with at estate sales. This is by Barbara Finch, made in 1980. It's called Material Fortress, where the horse is defending the colt on a big piece of marble. It's a really cool piece. It's priced at $3,500. It's worth it because it's so big and showy. I sold my sliding top bar at Epic Antique, but this one's really neat too. I love the way they open up like this. This one is a Milo Baughman done for the Dillingham Furniture Company. You would slide the top open so that you would have another service area, and then you have your storage down here. Very practical design, and it's on wheels so you can move it around easily. These folks have the same rainbow glass ewer that I have. Mine is not crackled though, and they've got it in purple as well. This is Rimaki glass from Finland, 1960s. It's an interesting green color when you get it out in the light. A nice piece of Vitosi pottery here for Rosenthal Netter. This is Rimini pattern, priced at $250. These are Westward Ho. Now this is Wallace China. Till Gooden was the artist. And this is the original 1950s. You see the various stamps, the underglaze stamp, the Wallace China ink stamp. They were out of Los Angeles, and they mainly supplied restaurants, like this one in Pasadena. There are pieces of Westward Ho that were made in the late 1980s and early 1990s. They're not as heavy as these, and the marks are different. These big serving pieces are very popular, and they do sell for big prices. $95 each on the dinner plates, $150 on the bowl. This bowl here is $125, but it's hard to find, and people really, really enjoy it. It's one of the most popular cafe ware lines that was ever made. Here's something I really like. This is Don Blanding, one of my favorite artists who did a lot of silhouette work. He designed for Vernon Kilns, and this is the coral reef pattern. There's also Leilani, which is multicolored with the fish. The Quizguard Dansk ice bucket is a famous design, one of his earlier designs for them. He was discovered because he had a set of flatware in a modernist display in Denmark, and two Americans looking for things to sell said, hey, this guy should be our designer, and he was for most of the first 30 or 40 years of Dansk production. Well, this is a fun and homey space, and look at the nice wicker chaise lounge. Spring is here. Time to bring out the wicker. This is when it usually sells the best, and actually garden decor in general. More antiques this way. This place just goes on and on and on. Blenko Bill had the Blenko Museum, and this case used to be in the Blenko Museum before he retired. It was great. This is a very famous Seattle print from the 1970s with the people all huddled under umbrellas. One of them is a flasher. These folks don't have any clothes on, but they're very happy together, and I guess that's one way to not get soaked. This was done by Sandoval Gallery at the Pike Place Market, and this one's signed 1979. I remember these were all over the place when I was a kid, and you don't really see them much anymore. I wonder what they go for now. Well, they have that one priced at $225, and it is something that's very famous in the local area. Look at the great gurgle bottle here, because it goes gurgle, gurgle, gurgle when you pour the stuff out. This one is Italian. They were basically stealing Blenko's designs. Globes, vintage globes. Still a big demand for the vintage globes. Look how fun this 70s Takahashi from Japan is. This was just basic stuff that was sold near here at Wajimaya, the Japanese import store in the Asian district, or international district as it's called here in Seattle. This is also Takahashi with the mushrooms. And yes, this stuff is popular, and some of it's kind of spendy now. $70 for the teapot. Love the old comic rack. This is what they looked like when I was a little kid. Look at this wonderful chandelier with the hanging grapes. There's a lot of these that were made in Europe. Czechoslovakia was one place they made things like this. Italy as well. Concrete and garden art, very popular, especially this season, because it is just starting to really be spring weather here. $149 on the large urn there. That one has a label in it that tells us that it's Silvestri, and probably a little newer than some of these, but newer is relative. These are all vintage. And look at these beautiful Salviati Murano stems, $275 each. I sold mine at Epic right away for a very similar price, so I have a feeling these won't be here for very long. And this mirror is rather spectacular, don't you think, with all the carving? Priced at $1,400, but I can't say I've ever seen one like it. These posts here, I believe, came out of a Spokane estate. These green with the amazing ironwork. There are a pair of them. They have them priced at $24.50. If I had a fancy house, I could see these being by the front gate or being part of an arbor. And this is a 19th century piece of glass. A very ornate candle holder. You see the candle cups here and the old opal glass. See the fire through that milk glass? That tells you that it's early. And this is indeed an early piece. It's got the grapes in brass. It's French. It should date to sometime right around 1900, and it's priced at $625. Danger. And then this is really cool. This is a multi-phone. This is an early jukebox where you would order 6 records for 5 nickels, and they would play. It's called a Shivers multi-phone. This would be Art Deco right around the beginning of the Depression. I have not ever seen this piece before. This one's priced at $2,800. Look who's on the radio. We've got Ernest Tubb and Hank Williams, Hank Snow, Red Foley. So this would have been in a honky-tonk somewhere in its day. Neat clock with the Whippet Greyhound on it. Smoothie, this old dessert maker for ice cream with the bullet shape. That's really neat, $49 with the original box. And then there's this fun German decanter from the 30s. A very neat selection of still banks, the Prudential trunk, this old ship, ducks and lions and donkeys and bears, and then this really great skyscraper. These are all going to date to about 1920. This is interesting behind it. This is a Standard Oil Company oil display showing different types of crude. This is where a lot of people get confused when they talk about the Keystone Pipeline. The reason we don't use that oil in America is because it is heavy crude, and our refineries are not set up for heavy, they're set up for light, like the stuff on the left there. $110 for that display. Very informative. These Palatnik pieces are really neat with the camels. I have not seen the camels before. Palatnik is from Brazil. There's the 2 giraffes. There is an exotic bird. And there are pelicans. $9.50 for the pair, but the Palatnik stuff has really gone up in value. I haven't had one of these for a while. It's a great radio. It's the Vintage Globe transistor radio. They sell for about $75 to $100. It's called the Peerless. And you've got the whole world, or at least any part of the world you can get on a transistor radio made in the 1950s. And we are in Boeingville, so of course we have a Boeing 707 model. This was the first jet that was successful for Boeing, priced at $450. Highlight, which is a play-at-home version of Highlight. I haven't seen that before. It would have been out about the same time as Jarts. I enjoy Highlight, but it's more of a gambling thing than a sport that people seem to watch. I found it interesting, though. This Murano swirl pattern is signed. It is Luciano Nichetto, so that is definitely Murano. This looks like a stately office that I might have had if I'd become a lawyer or something. I like the Staffordshire figures and the use of the crystal and chandelier. See, when you have a dark interior, crystal suddenly makes a lot of sense. That's why I think crystal will make a comeback at some point. Oh, it's funny, Bill, I didn't even come this way. I missed this Berghoff. This was another contemporary of Elton Bennett, who is the progenitor of this style. But Roger Berghoff was known for it as well. This one's priced at $120. If it was a Bennett that size, it'd be 3 times the price easily. Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, I've never seen it that large of a piece.
I've never seen a piece of Kay Finch this size. That's amazing. And $295, I mean, that seems like a really good price when you consider, I mean, look how every piece would have to be hand applied. That's really neat. And it's on top of a Milo Baughman gentleman's cabinet. Laura Caldwell at Left Coast Revivals is a big Milo Baughman fan, as am I. Well, here we are, right back where we started. Epic Antique. We've got a few boxes to drop off, and then it's on to more adventures.
Thank you, George.
It was nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
And it was really nice to share a little bit of time with Bill and a little bit of time with all you folks. Thanks for watching. Please click the like button to say that you like this and comment. Please do check out the social media links in the description you see below, and we'll see you again sometime from the fascinating world of antiques and vintage. See you soon. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.